Let's get it! 580 Sports Talk is live and direct on a Wednesday. Greetings and salutations. Happy Hump Day, one and all. We're with you for the next 2 hours and change here on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and in living color on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. Don't forget, we're on your mobile devices as well on the MSC radio app. However, wherever, whenever you are catching the program today, thank you so much for being a part of 580 Sports Talk. My name is Dan Lucero. Spencer Dupuis will be along in the 4 o'clock hour. We got a lot to get to, and not a lot of time here in this 3 o'clock hour following a 5-4 Royals win over the Giants. The Royals sweep the Giants. They are 5-1 since the All-Star break. That is .833 win percentage ball. Don't let them get hot. Not just a sweep, but history at the K today. Salvador Perez joins George Brett atop the home run list in Royals history with his 317th career dinger. We'll talk about that, the good from today, also the not so good from today, as for the first time in his career, Bobby Witt Jr. heads to the injured list. We'll react to what you just heard, and in particular, the history made by Salvador Perez in today's Royals victory. That is coming up on 580 Sports Talk today. Also coming on a truncated edition of the program, we'll be with you until 6 o'clock tonight. We're going to look ahead to the action tonight at Lee Arena in TBT play. Game 2 of the best of 3 TBT series between Purple Rain and JHX Hoops. Purple Rain dominated at Bramlage Coliseum last night with an 80-61 win, meaning if the K-State alums win tonight, they're moving on to the next round in the basketball tournament. Spencer Dupuis was at the Octagon last night. We'll get his in-person account of what he saw, and we'll react to Game 1, look ahead to Game 2 of the basketball tournament. Want to know if you're going tonight? Let us know if you're going. Did you watch last night? Let us know. Text us, 785-272-9429, or hit us up in the live chat on YouTube, our 580 Sports Talk YouTube channel. We'll also have our third in our 5-part series of burning questions for the Chiefs ahead of the start of training camp on Saturday. Their first practice is just 3 days away. We got our burning question of the day and continuing our countdown to Chiefs kickoff. We'll do headlines. We'll do what is wrong with you. And we'll talk to Ryan Gilbert to GoPowerCat.com for the Tall Grass Windows and Doors Wildcat wrap-up. That's all coming up, but we're going to take a break first, get to the top of the hour news, pay a few bills, and then we've got 2 hours of sports talk coming your way. So thanks for being here. We look forward to having a good time with you here on 580 Sports Talk on WIBW.
Here's the one-strike pitch. Swung on, hit in the air. Deep left center field, and gone! Salvador Perez, number 317. And one Royals legend ties another.
Let's get it on a record-setting Wednesday afternoon here on 580 Sports Talk. Dan Lucero, Spencer Dupuis here with you for the next 2 hours on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, on your mobile device, on the MSC radio app, and on YouTube at 580 Sports Talk. That is how it sounded. Ryan Lefevre with the call on the Royals Radio Network. Salvador Perez and George Brett stand together atop the all-time home run list in Kansas City Royals history. 317 now for the captain after his drive in the seventh inning reached the fountains in right center field. And not only did it make history, it kick-started a rally. It jump-started the 5-run fifth inning that delivered the Royals a win and a sweep, 5-4 over the San Francisco Giants this afternoon. The Royals have won 5 of 6 coming out of the All-Star break. We will discuss some Royals baseball today here on the program because it wasn't all good news for the boys in blue today with Bobby Witt Jr. hitting the IL. They also made a minor league trade today where they continue their trend of trying to throw any arm they possibly can at their bullpen problem. So plenty of Royals to discuss on today's program, but plenty more to get to here in the 2 hours that we have to spend together. Coming up this hour, as mentioned, some Royals baseball. We've also got What Is Wrong With You coming up. We've got Ryan Gilbert at the bottom of the hour for the Wildcat Wrap-Up presented by Tallgrass Windows and Doors. Ryan Gilbert will join us, and we'll talk to Gills about all things K-State, including a little TBT talk with Ryan Gilbert as well. That's coming up at the bottom of this hour. We'll play One Gotta Go this hour as well. We've got headlines. We've got our Chiefs burning question, number 3 in a 5-part series, a continuation of our countdown to Chiefs kickoff, and a look ahead to Game 2 at Lee Arena tonight between Purple Rain and, apparently, I have been too literal with the name of the KU alumni team. It is merely stylized JHX. That's pronounced Jayhawks. I should have known that, obviously. Jayhawks Hoops and Purple Rain play Game 2 of their best-of-3 series tonight at Lee Arena here in Topeka. Purple Rain, a big winner last night, 80-61. Spencer Dupuis was on site. You lost your voice. You were so excited you lost your voice.
No, I'm just learning of this. I swear last night they said JHX Hoops.
Really? Because on the TV broadcast they said Jayhawks Hoops. At least once. At least once, the play-by-play announcer said Jayhawks Hoops. So they could be wrong. I don't know. It's a lot easier to say Jayhawks than JHX.
I don't know. We might not be talking much about them.
Yeah, they might be done after tonight. They turn the ball over 20 odd times. They definitely will be.
I mean, they couldn't shoot to start the game.
Yeah, with Frank Mason and Zeke Mayo building the house, that was not ideal. That kind of felt like the game Zeke Mayo's Jayhawk team lost at Bramlage against Jerome Tang K-State team about 2 years back, where Mayo in particular had a really rough night. So, it was Purple Rain victorious by a substantial margin. I don't think JHX. We've been calling them JHX Hoops. I guess we may as well stick with it. But I don't think they scored in the Elam ending. I think it was all, and Spencer, again, you were there. You can correct me if I'm wrong, if you remember off the top of your head. But I don't think they scored in the Elam ending. I think Purple Rain scored all 8 points, and that was that. So
yeah, I mean, there was no challenge, really.
I'm going to tonight's game with my father-in-law and his brother-in-law, so my wife's uncle.
A lot of
in-law happening there. Yes, it's my wife's side of the family. I don't know if they watched Game 1 on TV. I don't know if my wife's uncle is familiar with the Elam ending. I cannot wait to explain that to him. If he doesn't know what it is, I can't wait to explain it to him.
I mean,
I'm so excited.
Look, I don't know if so we had a listener come in earlier and ask who was on the team. Then they claimed their tickets.
Okay.
Shout out to you for winning tickets.
Yes, shout out to you for winning tickets, claiming tickets. Absolutely. We got all those tickets out the door.
I don't think they watched last night's game. I'm just going to say that because they asked if I can't remember who it was on the team, and they weren't on the team.
Well, it was an 8 o'clock tip last night, though it was complete. The game was completed within the broadcast window.
That's the good old Elam ending for it.
Yeah. It was the game to a whole thing.
I think they won the Elam ending at 9:41, and Elam ending ended at 9:47.
That's about right. So like soup to nuts, whole thing took about an hour 45 minutes. So that's about what you can expect for your investment of time tonight if you are going to Lee Arena or if you are watching the televised broadcast on FS2. If you're a Cox subscriber, that's channel 243.
I guess you can find both of us at the game because I'll be there.
You'll be there. You'll be at the game in a professional
I'll be
capacity.
Working.
You'll be working. I never really get to watch sporting events as a fan anymore. It's just not something that I really have gotten to do a whole lot of. So I'm kind of looking forward to it. Just kind of sitting in the stands and enjoying the game, being very neutral. Just enjoying some good, clean ball. I'm not there to pick a side. I will say this though, watching the game. I put it on last night, got our son down, and my wife and I watched a TV show. And usually she falls asleep before I do and goes to bed before I do. And we watched the show, and I said, hey, I've been taping this game because it started while, during bedtime. So I said, I'm taping the game. I was gonna put it on and watch it when you went to bed. And my wife hung out for a little bit, and she heard Michael Beasley's name, and she perked up a little bit. I always liked him. So my wife didn't go to K-State, but she's a fan. She's, not like, paint your face purple on game day diehard fan, but she's a fan. She likes K-State, That's who she roots for. That's the side that she has taken in the Sunflower Showdown rivalry. Her sister went to Kansas State. So that is that's her side. That's the side of the rivalry where she has planted her flag. So, and she went from, like, I always like Michael Beasley, to like full on trash talking the Kansas players, like within 5 minutes of watching it. Like it drew something out in my wife that I really enjoyed. I enjoyed hearing her talk a little trash on the couch. So it was definitely an enjoyable experience for the 3,000 of the 3,000 plus who were at Bramlage last night. At least those who came to root for K-State.
Look, I got to give it to K-State. I've only been to one K-State basketball game, I think.
Okay.
And it was against West Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
It was a very odd game, but K-State was not having a good year. This was 24, 25. I don't remember. Whatever it was. K-State not having a good year. It was like you could see half the seats in the arena. And last night, you give those fans something to cheer about, something to rally around.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to come and they're going to be rowdy. Casey Alexander should be hyped to play in front of that, to coach in front of that crowd.
They were excited. They got a lot to cheer about early and often during an 80-61 win. We'll talk more about that a little bit later on. Look ahead to Game 2 of that tonight. You are, as always, invited and encouraged to participate in the discussion today. Want to hear from you on the text line. 785-272-9429 is that text line number. Again, 785-272-9429. You can also hang out with us in the YouTube chat if you are watching the program on YouTube. 580 Sports Talk is the name of the channel. Go subscribe to the channel if you have yet to do so. And hop in the chat and say hello and grow the 580 Sports Talk community. Let's see who's in here today. I see Jeffrey in, Mark H. Vance is in the chat. Paul is in the chat. I see Andrew is also into it. Christopher as well. It's good to see all of you and hear from all of you on the program today. Again, 580 Sports Talk on YouTube. But I did want to start with what you just heard here on 580WIBW.com, because that's a little thing called Synergy. A Royals winner. Royals 5, Giants 4. Once again, a home run in the 9th inning for San Francisco. But Steven Cruz had the sense, at least, to give up a solo home run with a 2-run lead. And had a little with 2 outs. So he had an extra run to work with. And so Casey Schmidt's 9th inning home run only served to make the final score closer.
I heard that in the other room while I was finishing up ag stuff as I was keeping track of the game. And I was like, oh, no, this is the beginning of a blown save and the Royals losing in the 9th inning again.
Neither team did anything on offense for the first 5 innings. Ended up being a pitcher's duel between Seth Lugo and Landon Roop, a game that had the energy that you would have expected from two teams that came in to the contest with 42 and 42 wins, respectively, in late July. Big-time getaway day. Let's get out of the heat and get on a plane energy to this one. San Francisco jumped to a 3-0 lead after 6.5, scoring once in the 6th and twice in the 7th. And that's when the Royals got rolling in the bottom of the 7th. Vinny Pasquantino with the leadoff double. Some consternation as to whether he came off the bag or, as the umpires ruled, was forced off the bag and then tagged at second base, that led to the ejection of world-class PUD Giants manager Tony Vitello. Then it was Salvador Perez's turn to make history for the 317th time, leaving the building, his 14th home run of 2026. That made it 3-2, put a lot of air back into the building and the dugout, and the Royals rally would continue from there with Nick Lofton tying the game with an RBI single and Lane Thomas putting the Royals ahead for good with a 2-run base hit later in the inning. But it was Perez's swing that was the highlight. Give Salvi this. Needed 3 home runs coming out of the All-Star break to tie George Brett at the top of, as if you needed me to confirm. When I say Brett, I'm talking about George here, as if you needed me to do that. But Salvi knew he had 3 left to tie Brett and a 6-game homestand, and he came out in this homestand with the intent to at least get to 317 and hit 3 home runs in the homestand. Again, he had 11 going into the All-Star break, and he hits 3 home runs in the homestand. And the 2 he hit most recently, the 2 he hit against the Giants, bombs. A 440-footer the other night, and this one today into the fountains in right center field for his record-setting home run. It's cliche to talk about how things are different now than they used to be. And one of the ways that things are different, if you are something of a baseball romantic, and hands up, I certainly can be, one of the ways in which things have changed over the years is you don't have as many guys spend as much of their career in one place as Salvador Perez has spent in Kansas City.
Yeah.
Salvi came to the Royals as a 21-year-old in 2011 and has spent 15 years playing Royals baseball. And when you wear the same uniform for that extended period of time and perform at the level, well, you don't play this long without performing at the kind of level that Salvador Perez has performed at over the course of his career. But you cannot help but form a bond with a fan base and with a city that is truly special. And it's rare, and it's true to say it, even if it is cliche to point it out, that it is rare that you see it anymore, that there are guys who stick around long enough and are part of special things that happen in an organization where you can look at a guy and say, that's a number you retire. That's a statue you build. I assume they're going to move the Frank White and George Brett statues from Kauffman Stadium to the new place when they build it 2031, 2032, whenever they open it. And I would imagine the next statue that gets commissioned is one of Salvador Perez in his catcher's gear. And I'm just delighted that it's Perez who has this record. Because when you think of a home run, unless you're a pitcher, you think about a moment of joy, a moment of happiness, a moment of celebration, a moment that gets you out of your seat. But joy. And when I think of Salvador Perez, when his career is all said and done, and when somebody asks me to sum up Salvador Perez, the player, that is the first word that will come to my mind, is joy, because he has always played the game with a smile on his face through, obviously, some of the greatest moments in franchise history, the back-to-back pennants, the World Championship, the World Series MVP he won in 2015, the winning hit in the 2014 wildcard game, all of the great moments, the great teams that he was a part of, and then through the down years, the negative times, the year he lost to injury, 2019, some of the miserable seasons in like the 2023 team that lost 106 games. Through it all, he has been a constant for, you get to 15 years, you're talking about multiple generations of Royals fans who will identify Salvador Perez with the Royals. And in much the same fashion that George Brett is identified as the Kansas City Royals by the generations that came before. The fathers who had Brett, their sons will have Salvi.
Yeah.
And I think that's that's naturally like the beauty of this game. And before I get too maudlin and turning this into a fathers and sons kind of thing, I'm just glad that Salvador Perez has this record and will ultimately have it to himself the next time he hits a home run. I don't know when he'll hit his next one, but they were on a 10-game road trip, and one of those stops is Coors Field. So it's going to happen during this road trip. I'm just going to tell you. He's going to surpass George Brett, and he's going to have that record for his own. And George Brett can have every other record, and yes, by every measure, Brett was a better player. Brett was a first ballot, no argument needed Hall of Famer, 3,000 hits, one of the absolute greatest players to ever play the game, period. if Salvador Perez is not quite that, him being the all-time home run leader in Royals history is a pretty damn cool thing for him to be, in addition to all the other things that he is. Yeah. So that's my feeling about Salvador Perez. I'm just so glad to for him to have that record. Some thoughts from the text line to get to. From the 785, record-tying home run, not record-setting home run, because he'll get to the record. He will. He'll get to that on the road trip, but still very cool that he got to share the space with George and accomplish that at home. Text from the 785, I think he should play next year with the Royals and play nowhere else but Kansas City. So
he's under contract, right?
No, he's not.
Oh.
No, his contract is up at the end of 2026. He would be a free agent. Obviously, this has not been a very good year for him, but again, if this is him starting to warm up with the weather and he has a strong finishing kick to the year and like his numbers against lefties are still really good, like if Salvador Perez is willing to play a more secondary role on the 2027 Royals, maybe not an everyday player, maybe not a middle-of-the-order hitter, and certainly not as frequent a catcher, more often a DH, maybe a first baseman to spell Vinny here and there, I think the Royals would be happy to have their captain back. But he's got to prove that, this isn't just a neat little 6-game hot streak and a neat little story, because if you're trying to build a contending team, I know he's the captain, but the OPS is still 614. Like, you have to be realistic about how much can he help next year. Salvador Perez, I don't want to force him into early retirement. If the Royals decide to move on, if he wants to go play, I know that there was very nearly a trade a few years back that sent him to Miami, where he has some familial connections. Maybe he'd want to finish somewhere like that. I don't know. But, yes, it would feel wrong for Salvador Perez to play a game in any other uniform but that one. No question about that. Text from the 785, I like this one. Running to first in the wild card walk-off should be a statue showing off the joy that he always played with. That's another good idea. That's another, like a signature moment in his career, certainly, and in Royals history. That would be a fun one. That would be a fun statue to have. No wrong answers. Maybe his statue could be him about to dump a Gatorade bucket on an unsuspecting teammate during a post-game interview. Or, as it came to be, a very suspecting teammate during a post-game interview. But there will be a statue. No doubt about that. There will be a statue. So that was the good news for the Royals today. They won. They're 5-1 since the break. The bad news is Bobby Witt Jr. is headed to the injured list for the first time in his career. That back tightness just has not gone away. And the Royals are doing the right thing by their star and franchise player by making him sit it out and get better. That's the most important thing for Bobby Witt Jr. and the most important thing for the Royals. They have to be thinking long haul and not short term right now, even if it is painful not to have the team's best player, an MVP candidate, in the lineup, and even if it will be painful to watch Andrew Velazquez hit whenever he is called upon to do so. Andrew Velazquez, who was called up and started at shortstop today, 32-year-old veteran of 6 previous major league seasons, carrying a career OPS of 537. That is OPS. That is on-base plus slugging percentage. He may as well take a wet newspaper to the plate. He's not there for his bat. Nice glove, man, but certainly not there for offensive purposes. But Royals doing the right thing by Bobby Witt Jr., and it's unfortunate because, man, it's not just that it's Bobby Witt Jr. This would be true just in general, even if he were not like MVP Bobby Witt Jr. There is such a step back for a team, any team, going from their regular everyday shortstop to not the regular everyday shortstop. You just feel like a more real baseball team when you've got that guy in the middle of the diamond, especially when that guy is that guy like Bobby Witt Jr. is. They're going to be a strange watch. Without number 7 at shortstop here for the next at least 10 days, maybe longer. Hopefully not too much longer. Hopefully he can get back in the lineup and keep chasing that MVP award that he could potentially still win this season if he comes back and puts up some second-half numbers. We're going to take a time out here on 580 Sports Talk. When we return, It's What Is Wrong With You time. Then we'll talk to Ryan Gilbert at GoPowerCat.com. We still got one guy to go. We're still talking TBT. We got headlines and a whole lot in a shortened show here on 580 Sports Talk. But before we get to any of that, a quick word for my friends at Eagle Auto Wash and Detailing Salon. Did you know they have better prices than the competitors? You do now. Did you know they're locally owned where the competitors aren't? You do now. Did you know you get a better shine, a better wash than you do at the competitors? I can attest to that because I've been everywhere you can go to get a car wash in this town, and nobody makes your car sparkle like the folks at Eagle Auto Wash and Detailing Salon. They care about your car, and if you want to be a Wash Pass member, they've got all kinds of options that best suit your needs as a car owner. So go check them out in Fairlawn Plaza. Maybe it's been a while since you've gone and seen them. Go see them again. Soar with the Eagle. Eagle Auto Wash and Detailing Salon. Back after this with What Is Wrong With You on 580 Sports Talk. What is wrong with you on 580 Sports Talk? Two new stories competing, trying to take down our current reigning weekly champion, the Wizinator, the guy who was toting a prosthetic unit because he had to take a drug test and knew he was going to fail it. So he brought the fake and some dried urine, and that was his plan. He was going to pass his drug test that way. Problem, he drove himself to the drug test on a suspended license and then tried to ditch the Wizinator when police got involved.
In the back of the cop car.
In the back of the cop car. Not the best plan that anyone's ever had. That's how you end up on What Is Wrong With You. My story will go first today. We're going to Towson, Maryland. I just love the first four words of this headline. Unlicensed exotic animal photo shoots.
What?
Two men are facing charges for allegedly using exotic animals, including a lemur and a spider monkey, in unlicensed photo shoots, one of which took place in the parking garage of Towson Town Center in late June. Charging documents state 22-year-old Vernon Edward Crofee III and 25-year-old Jaden Evans obtained the animals, which also included snakes, from North Carolina. Investigators found Evans' Instagram and Facebook accounts, as well as a website featuring photos of him and others with various animals, including, quote, non-human primates, and offering photo shoots. During the investigation, a detective contacted a representative from the U.S. Department of Agriculture's Animal and Plant Health Inspection Service, who confirmed that neither Evans nor Crofee had a valid Class C exhibitor or dealer license as required under the Animal Welfare Act. The documents also state that the Towson photo shoot involved 3 women posing with the animals, including snakes, the spider monkey, and the lemur. An undercover officer arranged a photo shoot with Evans involving the lemur and the spider monkey. A search warrant was executed at his residence, where both men were arrested. Neither the lemur or spider monkey were in proper living conditions, which led to their overall neglect. But good news, the Maryland Zoo has taken in the lemur and the spider monkey, and they are now being housed there.
My favorite thing about stories like this is an undercover cop. Like, you think, oh, nobody's policing this kind of thing. Like, no, there are undercover cops that do this. They look online for things like this.
I just want to know, why do you want a photo shoot with a lemur and a spider monkey?
Yeah.
Like, why? Like, what possesses you to decide, you know what would be dope? I want my picture taken with some snakes and monkeys. What would be extra cool is if the people handling those monkeys had no training. That would make me feel even better about my investment in these photographs.
Yeah.
It's a very fun, a lot of layers to that one that I think we could really peel back if it wins today. What's your story?
I believe we're going to New Jersey, but near Philadelphia. So this is from NBC 10 Philadelphia. Roughly a 16-hour barricade at a Walmart in Burlington County ended after officials said a man from Florida had locked himself in an RV, was safely taken in custody and transported by ambulance. The barricade began after police were called to a Walmart on Route 38 in Lumberton Township at around 11 p.m. Monday night for a disturbance in the parking lot. Police said they now believe the initial disturbance was a dispute between 2 people that escalated into robbery. During the investigation, 38-year-old Blake Reed of Florida got into an RV and refused to come out. Law enforcement also received information that indicated Reed may have had a flamethrower and other weapons inside his RV. The township police secured the area and called in the New Jersey State Police and Burlington County's prosecutor's office after a 16-hour barricade where specialized resources, including crisis negotiators, mental health professionals, engaged with Reed to get him out of the RV. During the response, authorities removed parts of the RV, including sections of siding and the door, as part of ways to reach him inside. They also used a megaphone to communicate with him. Law enforcement officers repeatedly communicated over a loudspeaker, telling the person inside there's a phone by the window, instructing him to come to the front of the vehicle. Authorities also deployed a robot, a drone, and canine units during the operation. Reed was ultimately turned himself in, and the situation was resolved peacefully. But man, who just casually goes around with a flamethrower?
Not me. 16-hour barricade situation.
Yeah.
Man, that sounds exhausting.
Because he robbed somebody after an altercation?
Yeah, that's something going on there.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with the unlicensed exotic animal photo shoots today. Gosh, it's really hard to beat a guy who had a fake unit and threw it on the floor of a police car.
Yeah.
And thought that I don't know whose that is. Thought that was going to work.
Yeah,
thought that was going to get him out of the jam.
How is that going to get him out of the jam?
Gosh, I don't think I think the Wizinator survives. But man, I'm going to be thinking about the kind of person who would call a number they saw on Facebook. Hey, you the guys with the monkey and the lemur? Yeah, I want my picture taken with those. You guys know how to handle those and would be able to take care of me if something went wrong, right? No? Well, never mind.
Yeah.
I really love that story, but nobody beats the Wizinator. That's our current champion on What Is Wrong With You. When we come back, it's the Wildcat Wrap-Up, sponsored by Tallgrass Windows and Doors with Ryan Gilbert at GoPowerCat.com on 580 Sports Talk. We are joined on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline, or will be joined by Ryan Gilbert, managing editor at GoPowerCat.com, for this week's Wildcat Wrap-Up, sponsored by Tallgrass Windows and Doors, who provide high-quality products at affordable prices. And he's probably not picking up because I'm not giving you the right phone number, perhaps. So that might be why. Oh, we got Ryan Gilbert on the phone? Let's go to the phones and say hello to Ryan Gilbert. Again, it's the Wildcat Wrap-Up, sponsored by Tallgrass Windows and Doors, providing high-quality products at affordable prices. You can check out their showrooms in either Wamego or Lawrence, or visit them online at tallgrasswindows.com. Excellence without exception. That's Tallgrass Windows and Doors. Ryan, do we have you?
Hey, have you guys been drinking in the studio today? Because this is Fitz.
Hey, Fitz! Oh, my goodness.
Put Fitz number in there.
I forgot to put Gills' number in the rundown, and this guy, this producer of mine, goes ahead and calls Tim Fitzgerald of GoPowerCat.com. Fitz,
Man.
how are you, man?
Your voice sounds familiar.
Yeah, it's been a minute. My name's Dan,
Okay.
as a reminder. Oh, goodness gracious. Fitz, how are you, my friend?
I'm good.
I'm glad to hear that. It's great to hear your voice. I know that it's been a couple of weeks since we had the chance to chat. Do you have a couple minutes? Want to talk to us?
Yeah.
All right,
Good.
let's do it. Tim Fitzgerald to GoPowerCat.com. Oh, man, I'm going to have some explaining to do next time I see Gills. Goodness gracious. Are you sending him to Topeka tonight? I'm going to have to apologize to him on press row.
Oh, don't worry about it. No, nobody ever needs to apologize to Ryan Gilbert for anything because he owes everyone an apology.
He's probably sitting there on his
Just for being Ryan
waiting.
Gilbert.
He's probably waiting for a phone call. Like, are they going to call me? Do they forget
I'm
about
gonna.
me?
I am. I might have to text him here. That's a big old faux pas. Yeah, we got the information wrong in the rundown, but it's never wrong to talk to Tim Fitzgerald, the publisher at GoPowerCat.com, here on 580 Sports Talk. Fitz, what'd you make of the TBT last night? That performance by Purple Rain in a big win over JHX Hoops.
Interesting. I'm still disappointed Jacob Pullen didn't play. I mean, a lot of people were there to see the whole Beasley Pullen thing, but Michael Beasley's Michael Beasley, great player, and sometimes you wonder what's going on in his head. But it was fun to watch. He's an amazing player, and there's some pretty good guys out there. I mean, Xavier Sneed looked really good, and I think this team can do some damage.
Yeah, the Michael Beasley thing is so fascinating because, yes, he is some kind of personality, and he was out there doing the absolute most, sometimes in a good way, sometimes in a, maybe didn't need to get that technical foul there in the third quarter, but it's rare that a player who's only on campus for 1 year, for whatever reason, whether it's a transfer, whether it's a one and done, but it's really rare for a player who's only on campus for 1 year to play, to forge the kind of bond or have the kind of love from a fan base that Michael Beasley clearly has from K-Staters. And it's really cool to have gotten to see that kind of consummated, celebrated at Bramlage Coliseum last night.
Yeah, I think it's good for Mike, too. If you followed his story, what's happened to him since he left K-State, it hasn't been very good. Yeah, he got to play in the NBA, got a big contract, but basically all that money got swindled by people he trusted. And he's kind of cobbling together a life now, playing here and playing there, and just kind of being Mike. He's always been a free spirit. He's almost like that, a hippie musician, but he's a hippie basketball player. He just kind of lives to his own tune and does his own thing, and has a really kind heart. That's the bottom line with Mike. He's a very nice man, and unfortunately was over trusting.
And it's not just that K-State fans love Michael Beasley, because it'd be one thing if it was just, K-State showing love to a guy who was an incredible, incredible player and a force in his 1 year wearing the purple. But Beasley also clearly reciprocates that affection to Kansas State and to Manhattan, and that's really cool. And that, I think, too, is really kind of rare to see, that kind of reciprocation that Beasley seems to share.
Yeah, it is interesting, and so much of his experience in Manhattan was with Frank Martin, and Frank's been gone for a while, so to kind of carry that on with the fan base is pretty interesting. And I'm confident that if Mike could have a way to make a living, he would probably want to live in Manhattan, Kansas. Probably the one thing, and I wish I was just kind of joking about this, but in reality, it's probably a big issue, does not have legalized marijuana here. He probably doesn't want to live here. Mike's always been a smoker, always will be a smoker, and I think I understand why he does it now. I understand a little bit more about it, and unfortunately, he's not going to stop. And so, he kind of bit him on the butt last time he was here.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just who Mike is. It's part of his endearing uniqueness to K-State fans.
Tim Fitzgerald, GoPowerCat.com, joining us here on 580 Sports Talk. This is the Wildcat wrap-up on the program. Fitz, you mentioned Xavier Sneed, Austin Trice was out there, Sean Williams was out there last night, Bebe Eziola was a late addition to the roster. Again, these are not all guys who spent a full 4 seasons at Kansas State or were necessarily all, all-time great Kansas State Wildcats, but clear that there was at least in their time. I mean, Bebe played on the Elite 8 team under Jerome Tang. Austin Trice was on that Big 12 championship team, 2018-2019. That those guys had the kind of experience in Manhattan, even if it was only 1 year, that engendered that level of affection. And I think if I'm Casey Alexander, that's what I'm pointing to with my players and saying, this is what it can be for you. Even if you're only going to be here for 1 year, you play your butt off, you accomplish something in a K-State uniform, you're good money here forever.
Yeah, it is interesting, isn't it? The number of guys that have come back that you wouldn't think would have a connection. Maybe it's just the basketball, I don't know, but it seems like coming back and playing for the Purple is important to some of these guys, and Dejuan Gordon is another guy that, he transferred out of here, and then I think he realized how good he had it in Manhattan, Kansas. So very interesting to watch those guys play.
We're joined by Tim Fitzgerald of GoPowerCat.com. Fitz, I know you weren't able to make it out to Big 12 football media days as we pivot a little bit to the gridiron, but if you, from what you heard from players, from head coach Colin Klein, from that Big 12 media days, is there something that stands out to you about maybe the attitude, maybe the focus of the leaders of this team, and not just the head coach, but the on-field leaders of this team as they get ready to start getting ready for 2026 here in a little bit?
You've been around this a while, and at media days, everyone has confidence. We're going to be good. You're optimistic. But you kind of recognize when a team kind of has that quiet confidence that we know we're good, and we don't need to make it sound like we're good. We're good, and I think these dudes understand now the difference, the price they're paying in terms of work under Colin Klein that they did the last few seasons, maybe in Manhattan. Wasn't always that way with Kleiman, but I think they've gotten back to more of that core of really earning it in the off season and working extremely hard. And I think they understand now that this isn't just time in the sun, working your butt off. This is when you win close games right now because you've earned that, and you've got that extra thing that's what it takes to win a close game, and I think they also recognize they didn't have that last year. So I feel like these guys are really confident. They have some questions about the roster, no doubt about it. Everyone does at this time of year. But we'll see how it all pans out, and I'm kind of excited to get it going.
What'd you make of the presence of Rex Van Wy and Wesley Fair at the event? You know, every team brings their stars. Avery
Right.
Johnson, Joe Jackson, Wesley Fair, and Rex Van Wy. Unless you're a diehard, you watch every down of K-State football. Those might not be names that you know, but they were there. They were present. Colin Klein has mentioned them during the spring session. What did you make of their presence there, maybe being a sign of how much they might be leaned on from a leadership and from a playing capacity this year?
Boy, that was a Bill Snyder move. He didn't just take the best players. He took the best workers, the leaders, the guys who are kind of helping put together the team. And even if a couple of the guys may not be starters, might be significant players, but not necessarily dominant players, but they got to go to this, I think it's really interesting. Now, Wesley Fair is kind of poised to be a good one. And, he's had some flashes, but Rex Van Wy was a surprise. But from all accounts, he's earned this by working his butt off and showing, everyone else that he's going to pay the price. And I think that's exactly what Colin was attempting to reward and notice that these guys are doing this, not just, being a star gets to go anyhow. You earn this. And I think it was a very Bill Snyder-like move.
Tim Fitzgerald, publisher at GoPowerCat.com, joining us on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline for this week's edition of the Wildcat Wrap-Up. A pleasant surprise. I have texted Gilbert. He says he's going to punch me in the face the next time that we see each other. So I have
He's
that.
very violent.
I have that to look forward to. But Fitz, it's always great to hear from you. Chorus of folks listening in watching on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. All want to pass along their well wishes. They want you to know they're thinking about you. They're praying for you, and I know we are too. So thank you again for taking the time, and we'll catch up soon, Fitz. Thanks so much.
Thanks, boys.
That is Tim Fitzgerald. The Wildcat Wrap-Up is sponsored by Tallgrass Windows and Doors, who provide high-quality products at affordable prices. You can check out their showrooms in either Wamego or Lawrence, or visit them online at tallgrasswindows.com. Excellence without exception. That's Tallgrass Windows and Doors. Tim Fitzgerald, one of a kind. We'll take a break. We'll come back with One Gotta Go to wrap up this hour of 580 Sports Talk. Swung Gotta Go time on 580 Sports Talk. Spencer, you said you had a good one today, so I'll let you lead off. What do you got?
Yeah, so Patrick Mahomes obviously going to be a career chief, more than likely, right?
Yeah.
His contract, the way his contract is already set out with the extension, he's going to be most likely a chief for life unless he plays in his 40s and decides to pull a Tom Brady.
Right.
Travis Kelce, from all indications, he's going to be a chief for life.
Yeah.
Chris Jones, we already talked about this on the show the other day about how they might potentially cut him next
Maybe
year.
not, but
he might not be a lifelong chief, right?
but he's got a chance to be.
But he's got a chance to be. Well, 3 younger guys, who would be the most you would be the most disappointed with if they were not lifelong chiefs? Creed Humphrey, Trey Smith, or George Karlaftis?
Most disappointed that they were not lifelong Chiefs.
Yeah. Like if they, at their next contract, they left.
Probably, that's an interesting one. Probably Creed, just because I feel like offensive line play ages really well. And you can be like, you look at a guy like Jason Kelce, who's an effective center well into his mid-30s. And, I think Creed would be my answer there, just because I think I think his skill set can age well. I'm not sure how Karlaftis' skill set is going to age. I'm less confident it will age as well as I think Creed and Trey Smith. They play different positions, so it's not apples to apples. But Creed would be my answer there.
That would be my answer too. I think he's a fan favorite.
All right, one got to go, and it's a reverse one got to go for me. You got to pick one. You got to pick your favorite. Salvador Perez's backups. One got to go. Freddie Fermin, Drew Butera, Cam Gallagher, Mabris Valoria. One got to go.
I was only really here for Freddie Fermin, so I'm going to pick Freddie Fermin.
Freddie Fermin's a good answer. Good player.
I think just the way that when he was traded, the fan base was pretty sad about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he made, for being the guy behind the guy, like, he got a lot of opportunity, obviously, with the DH and with Perez starting to play first base the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
But, I think it's going to be Freddie Fermin.
Fermin's the better player of that group. But you have to understand, Drew Butera had really great hair. Understand that Drew Butera had fabulous hair. It's a funny question, too, because, I was going back and trying to figure out, okay, who was backing up Perez before Drew Butera? And the answer is really nobody. In 2014, when the Royals won the American League, Perez started 143 of 162 games behind the plate.
Oh, my gosh.
If anybody's got the name of the guy who started the second most games behind the plate for the 2014 Royals, I'll be really impressed. If you want to impress me, if you've got that name, text it to 785-272-9429 or drop it in the YouTube comments. I bet we got a YouTube listener or two might know it. WIBW 580 Sports Talk on YouTube. But Drew Butera had really great hair is the point. Headlines and TBT Talk next hour, 580 Sports Talk. Let's get it. Final hour of this Hump Day edition of 580 Sports Talk. Glad you're here. Dan Lucero, Spencer Dupuis on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, 580WIBW.com, MSC Radio app, 580 Sports Talk on YouTube. So many ways to check us out live. We appreciate you doing so, being with us here on 580 Sports Talk. Short day for us. We hopped on just before 4 o'clock after a Royals winner. 5 out of 6 for Kansas City out of the All-Star break after their 5-4 win over the Giants. If the Royals proved anything in this homestand coming out of the All-Star break, it's that they could absolutely finish in third place in the National League West.
Yeah.
Right now, the Padres at 50 and 51 are entering today, I should say. The Padres, 50 and 51, are in third place in that division. Royals took 2 out of 3 from them. They took all 3 from the now 42 and 60 San Francisco Giants. Still to come on the upcoming road trip, the soon-to-be 41 and 63 Colorado Rockies, who are getting drubbed by Washington this afternoon in the rubber game of their series at Coors Field.
Oh yeah, what's the score?
It was 8-0 last I looked.
Let's go.
The road trip starts in Detroit for the Royals. They'll have 4 there, and then if memory serves, it is 3 in Minnesota, yes, before 3 in Colorado. 10-game road trip for the Royals starting tomorrow night. But they'll go on a winning note and improve their record today to 43 and 60. They've caught the A's. They've now won as many games as the A's. They're ahead of the Angels in the American League. They're not out of the Central cellar. They got a long way to go to get to Detroit, 47 and 54 entering today. And I haven't seen any other finals from today's action. I'm just not looking. But they've caught the A's in terms of total wins. So maybe they can pass another team on their way up the American League ladder here over the next 10 days.
I think it's funny the Royals are 5-1 since the break, and things are gloom and doom, like playoff wise. Like they're not making the playoffs.
No, they're not.
They're 5.
They're not. No, this should not be an opportunity to reevaluate like where the Royals stand in the in the playoff picture, start calculating the playoff odds again and thinking about being buyers. No, none of that. Though the Royals did make a trade today. We'll get to that in our 580 Sports Talk headlines. We've also got our third in our 5-part series of Chiefs burning questions. Again, we're 3 days away from the first practice of training camp. Report day is Friday. You better believe, by the way, and we're going to play Andy Reid's press conference as he addresses the media for the first time on Friday in St. Joe. But we're 3 days away from that, which means we've got 3 more big burning questions today, tomorrow, and Friday. And our question today, well, you're going to have to hang out, and we'll tell you when we get there. We'll also continue our countdown to Chiefs kickoff with another number not currently claimed by a Chief. Also, a look ahead to Game 2 between JHX Hoops and Purple Rain tonight, right here in the capital city. Lee Arena will be buzzing for Game 2 of the 3-game series in TBT. You and I were talking about this yesterday. Was it us talking about this? Were we on the air talking about the basketball tournament, calling it the TBT?
I think that was my final word.
Yeah, I might have been. Yeah, it is. I'm now real conscious about how I refer to TBT, the basketball tournament. You don't want to call it the basketball tournament. I understand that now.
I don't know.
It feels weird to me now. I'm having trouble.
Yeah, like when I was writing my story last night up on 580ww.com, if you want to go check it out, recap. To me, when I just say TBT, not the TBT.
Yeah, it feels like you're leaving something out if you say TBT.
Yes.
So, anyhow, Game 2 tonight, 7 o'clock. That game time has been confirmed for tonight at Lee Arena. But we're going to begin our 580 Sports Talk headlines with Game 1 last night at Bramlage Coliseum. But before we get there, I want to remind you that you can interact with us today on the text line. 785-272-9429 is the number. Also in the live chat on YouTube, 580 Sports Talk. I was delighted to see that my One Gotta Go generated some real good guy remembering in the YouTube chat today. And in case you were wondering, in case you had forgotten, the other 2 Royals to start games behind the plate that were not Salvador Perez in the pennant-winning season of 2014, they were the immortals Brett Hayes and Eric Kratz. I did not remember Hayes. And I was in Wichita in 2014, so I watched those games. I watched that team. I covered that team. I remember the 2014 Royals very well. There's a longer story to be told there about how the Rockies were in such a miserable place at the time that, honestly, the 2014 Royals helped me rediscover baseball, and rediscovered that I loved baseball. I am fonder of that team for that reason, for personal reasons, than I am for the 2015 champions. Obviously, your mileage is going to vary, but for me, the 2014 team, I love to death. Besides, that team had Nori Aoki on it. Come on. And, yeah, I did not remember Brett Hayes and his 27 games that season. I did remember Eric Kratz. I think Kratz was on the playoff roster. Not that they needed him. If they were going to carry a second catcher, it could have been you or me, because Perez caught every inning in the playoffs.
Oh, yeah.
So
it's the playoffs.
Yeah. He caught every inning of the playoffs in 2014. Anyway, Brett Hayes was the name that you were looking for. Andrew came up with it in the live chat. Shout out to him.
The only time your catcher shouldn't catch every inning in the playoffs is if it's the bottom of the 8th and he's up to bat and he gets a hit and you want to pinch run him.
Well,
that's the only acceptable time is for when a pinch runner comes in and you have to replace him defensively.
Yeah, well, that is exactly what happened in Game 5 of the 2015 World Series, which is why Drew Butera caught the final out from Wade Davis and not Salvador Perez. Yep. But anyhow, as promised, let's get to our headlines. Let's start with last night's TBT action. Purple Rain 80, JHX Hoops 61. A stifling defensive effort from the K-State alum, forcing 19 JHX Hoops turnovers. Michael Beasley with 20 points on 6 of 13 shooting. Also had 6 helpers. Xavier Sneed and Austin Trice each posted 16 points. The latter, Trice, 16 points on 8 of 9 from the field. Sneed added 8 rebounds to his 16 points. Sean Williams off the bench chipped in with 15 in the winning effort for Purple Rain. 4 scored in double figures for JHX Hoops as well. They were led by Billy Preston. Tijuana Zonki's great. Billy Preston, 15 points and 7 boards. You know they got cheerleaders?
Wow.
Yeah, the Zonky girls.
I saw you were very invested, and you posted it on Blue Sky last night.
I'm just obsessed with the Tijuana Zonkies. I want to be a Zonky fan. I want to join the Zonky fan club. Zeke Mayo had 12 points, but it was a rough shooting night for the former Lawrence Chesty Lion. 12 points on just 2 of 9 from the field. 10 apiece for Frank Mason and Ichabod great Jacob Hanna, who, I'll be honest with you, he might have been like the second or third best, at least the second best player.
For
JHX Hoops last night. 10 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, had a nasty dunk in traffic. Like, he absolutely belonged out there. He had 10 points off of the JHX Hoops bench in the loss. Andrew Orr, other former Washburn player on that roster, played 7 minutes off the bench, did not score. Did have a rebound, was 0 for 1 from the field on a catch-and-shoot 3 that I think if he had ever taken that shot as an Ichabod, Brett Ballard would have taken him out of the game immediately. I watched that happen, and I thought to myself, I'm just imagining Brett's reaction to Andrew Orr taking a catch-and-shoot 3 from like 25 feet out and 10 on the shot clock. Like, no! So I watched it last night, and you were there, and I want to get your in-person reaction to it. But watching it on television, 2 things struck me. Number one, everybody at the arena, and you can burnish this, or you can tell me I'm overreacting, but everybody in the arena seemed to be having a really good time.
Yeah. There was some. They definitely had alcoholic beverages flowing, so that obviously helps when you're
doesn't hurt
your fandom there. I think that I mentioned it earlier on in the show when we were talking about it, like just every single time Beasley took the ball or they began the game with a bunch of, like, the first points were off of alley-oop.
To Snead, yeah.
To Snead, and it was just like from there, from that point on, the crowd was just so in it, and I think that beginning the way that they did last night was key to keeping the crowd in it.
And it was really neat to see that. I think the game did get a little bogged down in the third quarter. It was a lot of one pass and shoot a 3 after the Purple Rain had built what they led by as many as 18, something like that.
I think it was 16.
I think it was 16, and then things got a little sloppy offensively. The other part of it is these guys don't have like a ton of practice time together, so naturally things are going to look a little sloppy at times. But JHX Hoops could get no closer than 8. It was an 11-point game when the Elam ending came into play, and Purple Rain able to score the 8 points, get to the target score of 80, and win it. So if Purple Rain wins tonight, they will secure the series. JHX Hoops will be trying to extend the best-of-3 series to a deciding Game 3, which would be played Friday night at Bramlage Coliseum. Other takeaways from being there, watching the game, what stood out to you from Game 1?
I think so I have thought the last few weeks that the tournament was kind of getting a little stale maybe, but I think it's more competitive now. I think having less teams and not a tournament environment.
And an extra $1 million to the winners?
Yes.
That doesn't hurt?
But, like, if I remember correctly, like, the format used to be, like, so-and-so would be the host school, right?
Mm-hmm. And then you'd have like an 18 bracket at that one site, yes.
I think this is could be more successful in the long run if they keep it a low, because there's just so many guys, right? And then it's like, well, we want an alumni team and we want an alumni team. Well, Kansas might be that kind of team. It's like your guys that are playing are either guys that just graduated within the last 5 years and couldn't make it in the NBA, or guys that made it in the NBA for a bit and are now aging to the, that's what I like, guys that are in their late 30s. like we're seeing with Beasley, right?
Right.
Beasley's that age. Mario Chalmers was in the
Mario Chalmers is my age, man. We graduated from college the same year.
Mario Chalmers got drafted the same year as LeBron.
Correct.
Yeah.
Wait, no, he did not. No, that's wrong.
No.
He maybe the same high school class.
Okay, yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just think it's more. I just felt like from the K-State side, things were more competitive, and then it got pretty. It got down to, I think it was like a 6-point difference, and it seemed like the Jayhawks were like we could still win this, and then things didn't go their way. But a
lot of hustle plays. Austin Trice was really big in that stretch in the fourth quarter.
Hustle. That's a word I would use. I've watched a ton of TBT games over the course of time on TV. Because my alma mater had a team in there up until this year. So I was watching a lot of TBT games, and I think smaller amount of teams having this best of 3 series when you can get teams with rivalries in it makes it even better. Because look, if the Jayhawks don't enter next year, I think Aftershocks will enter again, and you can still match those up.
So 3 things I think kind of set the tone for the game. One was that alley-oop, obviously, that got the crowd into it. Like, oh, okay, like they ran a play. Like this, because some of these games, like you watch enough TBT, and some of these games really do feel like, oh, this is like watching like an afternoon run at the Y, except I've heard of these guys. I've heard of a good chunk of these guys. So they can feel a little disjointed, and even at its best, the TBT can be pretty ragged basketball. But yeah, you saw like something well executed, and like, be honest with you, did Jerome Tang's Wildcats run a play in the 2025-26 season? The answer might be no, if we're being honest.
Yeah.
So I think that was the first thing was it was K-State fans, the crowd being like, oh, that's a play. They ran a play.
Yeah.
The other thing, though, was Snead picked up Frank Mason defensively on the first possession. And, like, those guys played against each other, right? They overlap. They're contemporaries, K-State contemporaries. But that was like, okay, Snead is taking this very personally. And it felt like there was just a little bit more edge. And I think they derived some of that from the home crowd being back at Bramlage for those K-State alum in particular. But it did seem from the get-go like there was a lot more edge for Purple Rain. And then the other thing was that Beasley made shots. Beasley made tough shots. Beasley did Michael Beasley stuff.
I think
37 years old, and he was out there playing like you would have expected Michael Beasley to play.
So I think that,
like, he found the fountain of youth outside of Bramlage.
I think that's what this hinges on for this Purple Rain squad. If you got him running a full cylinder, a guy like the way that you think of when you think of him, they are without a player that was supposed to be on it that's supposed to be very good, Jacob Pullen, and they didn't even need him, right? Like, they didn't need him. But when you look at a team like Kansas, the leader of that squad is supposed to be Frank Mason.
Had a bad night.
He did a Zoom with us, the media, a couple weeks ago. He said he was thinking about hanging up the basketball shoes after this year. So he's got a lot more going on in his life, is what I'm trying to say.
Now
I think his responsibilities might be not on the court.
We'll see. We'll see how he responds. Because I mean, Frank Mace was the National Player of the Year. That's a guy with some pride in his ability. He had 10 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, but he turned it over 7 times. I bet he's better tonight. But anyway, we'll talk a little bit more about tonight's game 2 a little bit later on in our headlines. But Spencer, give me your first headline.
Yeah, my first headline: the Chiefs have unveiled renderings of their $3 billion domed stadium in Kansas, I guess you can call it. I would call it different because the roof is going to be different. They put out renderings, and surprisingly, if you kept up with any of this,
could you say tetrafluoroethylene, tetrafluoroethylene? Can you say that 5 times fast?
I can't, but I'll just say ETFE panels.
ETFE panels. They are high-performance fluoropolymer membrane systems used in modern architecture as a lightweight, durable alternative to glass. And the idea is that they will be what comprises the roof of the new Chiefs Stadium.
Yes. But one thing that I noticed when I was reading the details is, I don't know, when I think of Kansas City big time architecture firms, I think of Populous.
Right.
They did not get the contract.
They did not.
No. So that's interesting that they didn't
Manica also in Kansas City.
HNTB did as well. But some features here. There's going to be approximately 70,000 seats. Again, we mentioned that translucent ETFE panel roof. More than 20,000 parking spaces, which was a source of conversation on the Everything app, X. That's about as many parking spaces as there are at the Truman Sports Complex. So, Chiefs fans, don't freak out.
You cannot do a new stadium that does away in any meaningful way with tailgating culture. You just can't.
So
like the Chiefs and tailgating are so hand in hand. That's such a part of the fan culture that that would be like moving the team and changing the team colors to like green and pink. Like you couldn't do it.
Yeah. So enhanced parking lot specifically designed to improve that famous tailgating tradition. You'll have a seating bowl inspired by Arrowhead Stadium. There'll be a dedicated drum deck for pregame and in-game ceremonies like a lot of these new stadiums have and a lot of teams do. As that thing, I know the Chiefs obviously do that. The Chiefs Ring of Honor will be prominently displayed above the seating bowl.
Which I think could be pretty cool. And also, like, they need to make more room in coming years for more names up there. So
yes. A larger Chiefs Hall of Honor, more than double its current size, which is obviously needed because there's so much of the team's history that's happened in the last 10 years or so. A Chiefs team store approximately 4 times larger than the existing location. A redesigned Lamar Hunt Plaza surrounding the stadium. Obviously, the district, the entertainment district, they're going to call it, is going to be a part of this. And yeah, I mean, I think the renderings look like any new stadium now.
So
when you look at it objectively overall.
So I didn't see it at first. I didn't see at first that, and on second look, you can't miss it, that the layout, the way the seating bowl itself is designed is evocative of current Arrowhead Stadium. It is built in that same fashion, that same style. When you put a roof over the top of it, it kind of looks like a saddle. Like Calgary's Saddle Dome. And, they're tearing down Calgary's Saddle Dome to the Flames are getting a new arena up there. So if the name's not in use, the GEHA Saddle Dome, anyone? Bueller? No?
So apparently they are going with Chiefs Stadium. That also a topic of conversation on the Everything app. This is my personal belief. Arrowhead Stadium is its own entity, and you can't create Arrowhead Stadium 2.0.
So I agree with this. I agree with that take. I do not think, like, if you were to build on the site of Arrowhead Stadium, but then tell me, okay, but we're calling this, I don't know, T-Mobile Patrick Mahomes Stadium. Like, no. You built that. That's where Arrowhead Stadium is, so that's Arrowhead Stadium. If you're building somewhere else, then it's something different. It's something different. At that point, it is no longer Arrowhead Stadium. Arrowhead Stadium is then at that point.
And I think that's the nod, right? You want it to be part of your history, and while you don't want to leave history, it's like we don't want to say like this is what old Chiefs games were like.
You want to like honor the past and build like something that is new. And I mean, we've seen many times that renderings end up not really looking much like what finally ends up getting built. But like the general concepts of this is what we're trying to preserve. This is a look that matters to us. This is, the number of parking spaces, what we want to do with the Ring of Honor, the Hall of Honor, things like that. Those are all very promising. Like we're a long way from like the stadium itself opening, and we'll see how viable an EFTE ceiling actually is. Like, can you grow grass in there? Is it going to blind the players to be too reflective? Like, I got a lot of questions. I got a lot of questions about what they're really going to be able to do with the roof. But conceptually speaking, just based on what we're trying to accomplish with the stadium, how we want to honor what Arrowhead has meant and how what the tailgate culture means to our fans, how we want to honor that while still doing something new, I would say I would be encouraged with what I heard today. Next headline, let's go back to the Kansas City Royals. You know, obviously the big news today, they beat the Giants, and Salvador Perez tied George Brett for the most home runs in Royals history, hitting his 317th career home run in the win. The Royals also made a trade today, acquiring right-handed reliever Nate Pearson from the Houston Astros in exchange for minor league right-handed pitcher Max Martin. Houston had DFA'd Pearson over the weekend, so the Royals needed to add Pearson to their 40-man roster, which they did. In doing so, they designated Cameron Meisner, the outfielder, for assignment. Nate Pearson was once one of the biggest prospects in all of baseball. He is firm proof that there is no such thing as a pitching prospect. He was a top 10 prospect in all of baseball in the 2019 and 2020 seasons. But injuries got in the way, lack of command got in the way, and he has kind of bounced around as a journeyman. As a reliever, Kansas City will be his fourth team. He's pitched for Toronto, the Cubs, and the Astros. Career ERA of 4.99, but still throws very hard. His average four-seam velocity, 97.7 miles per hour. He had a 3.60 ERA out of the Houston bullpen, but had a walk rate that is pretty concerning. Doesn't get as much swing and miss as you'd like to see for a guy who throws that hard. But the Royals are hurting for bullpen arms, in case you've slept through the entire season to date. So why not try one, and try one with a big arm and see what kind of results you can get, because they just have not had a lot of effective power in the back end of that bullpen. So the reliever that was traded, Max Martin, he was the 10th round pick out of UC Irvine in the 2025 draft, had been putting up good numbers in A-ball this year, but at 22 years old was a little old for the level. He was not considered a top 30 prospect in the Royals system. So Nate Pearson added to the organization. I think that they have to add him to the major league roster. And when they do, would anticipate that would probably mean they could option Beck Way down. They could option Eli Morgan down. Maybe they have another trade in the works. Maybe they're getting ready to move. We haven't seen a lot of John Schreiber lately. Maybe they've got something in the works for him. But Nate Pearson will soon be joining the Royals roster. Throws very hard. Can he get the kind of results that an arm that big would suggest? The Royals will be the next team to try and find out. Next headline, Spencer. We got one more.
Next headline for me, Division II, as I pull this up here. Taking a little bit of time here. The NCAA Division II athletes, or the panel, is pushing for what we were seeing at the NCAA Division I level to come down to the NCAA Division II level as well. That being age-based eligibility starting this year, this upcoming academic year. The NCAA Division II athletes will move immediately to an age-based eligibility model adopted in Division I under the proposed emergency legislation that was announced yesterday. The Division II Management Council recommended the division's executive board adopt the model that would create the 5-year period of eligibility effective for this upcoming academic year. Under the proposal, an athlete's eligibility, again, would begin initially under full-time enrollment or the regular academic year immediately following the student athlete's 19th birthday, whichever occurred earlier. This model was approved in Division I. It is going into, I guess it's starting for people that are going into college at student athletes that are starting college.
So obviously there's been a lot of litigation around that because of the abruptness with which it was implemented. I think, though, that if you gave everybody like a 1 year, like, okay, this is the last year we're going to operate under this old model, and then moving forward, this is what you can expect, maybe you'd have a little less litigation. Probably not. People like suing people. Billable hours are undefeated.
I think the easiest way to do any of this would just be to say this is effective for players starting school only right now.
Or
nobody that's in school currently, because then it's like, well, if you're a junior upcoming, it's going to count for you, but if you were a senior, it wasn't. So it should start like that.
We're going to start it effective with the class of 2027, the graduating class of 2027 is, I think, a way to do it. And I do think it makes sense for all NCAA divisions to have eligibility models that are in lockstep, because that's been the case everywhere before. And I would expect that ultimately, if Division II adopts this, and I would expect that they will, Division III probably would then follow. That's it for our 580 Sports Talk headlines. When we come back, continuing our pre-training camp series of big burning questions for the Kansas City Chiefs. That's next on 580 Sports Talk. .536 on 580 Sports Talk. Dan and Spencer hanging out with you, here with you until 6 o'clock tonight. We're 3 days away from training camp. First practice for the Chiefs, Saturday morning in St. Joe. And throughout this week, I'll be bringing you big burning questions for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Is it Saturday morning? Well, I guess it would be for the rookies.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not the first full team practice.
Not first full team practice. First workout. First, you can be pedantic, I suppose, about it. But, yeah, it is Saturday, July 25th. Practice, 9:15 a.m. So, there you go. It's the third of our 5-question installment of Big Burning Questions. I left it for today with a little less time to stretch our legs on it because it's a question that we've sort of bandied about already this offseason. And the question is, how real is the competition at right tackle? Is the competition angle a smokescreen? Is it motivation for Jaylon Moore? Because you pay a guy $15 million a year, even if it's for 2 years. I don't think you do that with the anticipation that they aren't going to start games for you at some point. When the Chiefs signed Jaylon Moore from the 49ers before last season, it was a hedge against both the situations at left tackle and right tackle. If they could not find a starting caliber left tackle in the draft, they were going to plug Jaylon Moore in at left tackle. Fortunately for the Chiefs, the draft broke in such a way that they found their guy, Josh Simmons. So there was no need then for Moore to start at left tackle because Simmons proved healthy and ready to start. Then the other way, over at right tackle, if Moore it was on the roster, it gave the Chiefs an opportunity to walk away from an onerous contract that they had given Jawaan Taylor, who, again, like the record will show all the penalties, of course, but when he wasn't committing penalties, which, again, not an excuse. Penalties are bad.
Yeah.
Penalties as an offensive lineman are especially bad. And Jawaan Taylor got a lot of, not just penalties, but like really high-profile, noticeable penalties. So that was bad. But like from a technique and a matchup standpoint, Jawaan Taylor as a player, not a bad one. Like decent right tackle in the NFL, all things being equal. Unfortunately, all things are not equal because he subtracts from his value with all the penalties, and that's why he's only making $5 million a year, $6 million a year this year, and not the $22 million he was making before. But anyway, Moore's presence on the roster for 2026 gave the Chiefs an opportunity to walk away from Jawaan Taylor's money and free up some salary cap room to do something else. And the idea then that if Moore was not your left tackle starter for 2025, then he could be your right tackle starter for 2026. But what I can't shake is the fact that Esapole took real first-team reps at minicamp. And that, to me, suggests that the Chiefs are trying to get more out of Jaylon Moore. Whether it's strictly motivational or whether they want him to feel as though someone is breathing down his neck to take that job. I thought the fact that they did give Pole real reps, first-team reps, and I know mandatory minicamp is not the real thing, right? It's not. But he's out there next to Trey Smith. And obviously it's a credit to Pole, the undrafted free agent. But I also think that it is born of a very real desire that the Chiefs think Jaylon Moore needs to get to another level to be the right tackle that they need him to be. I guess is the way that I would put that. I would be surprised if anybody but Moore starts on Monday night against the Broncos week 1. But I think that the Chiefs want to do everything they can to make sure that the version of Jaylon Moore they get on that Monday night is the best possible version. And perhaps they feel like what they need to do is light a fire.
Yeah. Part of me, I mean, obviously I'm not in the building. I don't know everything that's going on. I would assume the Chiefs have better knowledge than me, but if Benson or Pole win that left tackle job.
Right tackle job.
Because,
you bring up Khalil Benson, the UDFA, who I think he's even more of a long shot than Pole, but like the coaches were all very impressed with Benson, and he seems like he's at least going to make the roster.
Yeah, my thought on this, though, is I don't want to make this part of it, but we know what happened last year with Josh Simmons. He wasn't available.
Yes, he left the team for a month, and then he got hurt.
Is Jaylon Moore a better left tackle than right tackle?
He's a more natural left tackle.
So maybe you want to get other guys that right tackle to go at right tackle. So if something happens to Josh Simmons and he's unavailable, you move Jaylon Moore to left tackle, his more natural position.
That's an interesting thought, and I think that's probably the direction if Simmons were to face another long-term absence, where the Chiefs would probably go. I think if it were something that happened in game, you just go to your swing guy off the bench, whether that's Pole as tackle number 3, which certainly that seems to be his role on this team right now. But like for a long-term absence, if Simmons were to miss a couple of weeks or a month with an injury or something else, which again, given what happened in his rookie year, is a possibility you have to be prepared for, then is Moore viewed as the guy that you have to kick over to left tackle. So the Chiefs feel like they've got to really prepare Pole, who's also a natural left tackle, considering that's where he played in college. Do they feel like they've got to really prepare him and make him ready to be right tackle because he would be more of a long-term solution there? Or do the Chiefs not view it that way? Do the Chiefs view Pole as their best option at left tackle in the instance of in the circumstance of a long-term absence for Simmons? That's a really fascinating way to look at it. I'm glad you brought that up. It's continuing also today, our countdown to Chiefs kickoff. We are 54 days away from that Monday night at Arrowhead Stadium between the Chiefs and the Broncos, the final game of Week 1, September 14th, 2026. 54 days shy of the opener. There is not a number 54 on the current Chiefs roster. Number 54 on last year's Chiefs roster was, of course, Leo Chenal. So maybe they're holding it and are going to retire it for... No, they're not going to retire it for Leo Chenal. Leo Chenal, according to the approximate value stat on Pro Football Reference, is the third most valuable number 54 in Chiefs history, behind a couple, a linebacker and an offensive guard, Tracy Simeon, who some of you 90s kids might remember, played middle linebacker for the Chiefs through the 90s, played 7 years as a Chief, started 84 of 109 career games as a Chief. He's the second most valuable number 54. The most valuable number 54 in Chiefs history, raise your hand if you know it, Brian Waters. Two-time All-Pro, 2009 Walter Payton Man of the Year. I don't know why this guy's not in the Hall of Fame yet. I don't know what they're waiting for. Get Brian Waters in the Hall of Fame.
I don't know, but I, for one, not to make this about my team, I'm excited to see Leo Chenal next to the Commanders' number 1 pick, Sonny Styles.
I think the Chiefs will miss Chenal. I think they will miss his athleticism at linebacker. I think he's one of those guys that if the salary cap weren't real, the Chiefs would have liked to have done something with Chenal. But they had.
I think
that's
that
what
was
the
the
salary
way-
cap does. You have to make decisions, hard decisions. And Chenal, I think Chenal was probably as hard a decision as they had on that defense.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was probably the hardest decision they probably had to make because he was so valuable.
Versatile and athletic.
and valuable when
And-
it came to players not being, like, he would move, like, he was mainly a special teamer,
And to me,
and then he had to come in and play linebacker when players were hurt.
and to your point about his next chapter, I don't know that we've seen his best football because he's still fairly young as these things go. He turns 26 in October. I think there's a chance in a different scheme with some different imagination. Maybe Dan Quinn gets even more out of him. And I think we could see Chenal's best football as a Commander. Not that he did not contribute, obviously, in a big way to Super Bowl championship teams, another AFC title. But as an individual, I think his best football could still be ahead of him.
I mean, I think Durante Jones, the new DC, could get a lot out of him.
We'll take a timeout, come back, look ahead to Game 2 between Purple Rain and JHX Hoops at Washburn University's Lee Arena tonight. That's next on 580 Sports Talk. 548 on 580 Sports Talk. Dan and Spencer with you, coming down the home stretch of this Wednesday edition of the show. We were on a little late due to Royals baseball. The TBT comes to the capital city tonight. Washburn University's Lee Arena plays host to Game 2 of the 3-game series between Purple Rain and JHX Hoops. Purple Rain won last night at Bramlage Coliseum, meaning if they win tonight, they take the series and will play either the Wichita State alumni, the Aftershocks, or the New Mexico alumni, the Enchantment, I believe they're called. The Enchantment.
I do wonder if I'm thinking the Aftershocks are going to win because they had a dominant win in Game 1.
They did. They blew them out.
Their Game 2 is not until tomorrow, which is crazy that
they got a little more rest.
That Purple Rain could have started before them and finished before them in the hypothetically the same amount of games. But if it's not, if it's New Mexico, how does that series work? That's what I'm wondering.
I don't know. That's
because if it was Aftershocks and Purple Rain, like Wichita to Manhattan is not the worst drive.
No, it's
pretty
not.
Easy drive.
Yeah, I guess I don't know the answer to that question. The big question I do have for tonight's game, though, is anybody going to have anything left? Because I got to tell you, watching the third quarter of and into the fourth quarter of last night's game, and I think maybe a little adrenaline kicked in the fourth quarter, but some of those dudes look a little tired, man. And it's not that they're not, like, these guys are all, I shouldn't say all, but most of them are playing somewhere professional.
Yeah.
Right. So these are not like, this is not like, oh, this guy was an investment banker and he's popping up to play for the alumni team. Like, these guys are all playing somewhere.
Zeke Mayo just played the Summer League.
Yeah, he played at Summer League. But there's a difference between, you know, you're getting your summer workouts in and you're getting ready for your new season, or you're playing Summer League. Summer League basketball is very different than like NBA basketball. The ramp up in intensity, it looked like fatigue really kicked in. And the result was some pretty ragged basketball in the second half. I'm wondering how much gasoline a Michael Beasley has in the tank tonight.
Well, I think that's where the Elam ending helps.
It does.
Because
games aren't as long.
Because I think, it's just my opinion about basketball, if you get tired, you make mistakes, you get fouls, you draw out the game.
Mm-hmm.
So not having that, taking that out of the equation, to me is helpful in a way.
The other things to watch for tonight, there was no mistaking that Jacob Hanna belonged out there.
Oh, yeah, he did.
Last night. If you didn't know, like, if you had just happened upon that game on cable last night, you're like, oh, yeah, Frank Mason. Yeah, sure.
Mario Chalmers.
Jamari Traylor. Yeah, sure. If you had really watched JHX Hoops last night, the guy who would have jumped off the screen at you would have been Jacob Hanna.
Oh, that guy's Division II guy.
Yeah, and they did. They gave him some love. Talked about him playing at Washburn, going to the Final Four. And he was one of JHX Hoops' best players last night. Jacob Hanna played one season at Washburn, never lost at Lee Arena. I think he's going to take it very personally tonight. And I'm excited to see what he can do. Obviously, Andrew Orr coming back is very cool as well. The other former Ichabod on that JHX Hoops roster. So I'm excited to see those guys. And the other thing, too, is like, I wonder how the crowd will split tonight. Because this is the home game, ostensibly, for KU in this series. But I'll be interested.
We're right there between.
So I'm going with, like I said earlier, I'm going with my father-in-law, and I'm going with my wife's uncle tonight. And my wife's uncle is a huge KU basketball fan. And my father-in-law roots for K-State.
Oh.
They get along fine. They get along great. I am Switzerland. Like, I genuinely, like, I'm there as, like, I'm not covering the game, but I'm also in a position where, like, I don't have, like, you know, long-standing ties to either school or anything like that. I'm just there to enjoy the ball game and, you know, support the Washburn guys, certainly. But just there to enjoy the game. But I'm wondering, it's going to be more blue or purple in that crowd tonight. I'll be genuinely fascinated.
I would assume you're going to run into a lot of people, too. Like, people that used to work here. Like, I think Brendan's going to be there. So, like, you'll probably talk to a lot of people.
Are you saying I'm going to get recognized? Are you saying I shouldn't, like, eat a bunch of beers in the parking lot?
No,
and embarrass
I'm saying,
myself?
like, depending on what time you get there, like, you're going to see people you know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I expect that anyway in
Yeah.
an event like this. Like, I did Washburn basketball for 4 years. I still have great relationships with people over there, so I'm excited to be there. And I think it's really cool for Washburn. It's really cool for Topeka. And I think it's going to be a good and fun atmosphere there tonight. Looking forward to seeing it all. And one texter from the 785 says, I think it'll be more Washburn blue there tonight. And there might be.
Yeah.
There really might be. There'll be a lot of people.
You just wear your school's colors.
I could. I got a Washburn polo I could wear if I really wanted to pick a side. We'll take a break, come back with a final word to put a wrap on this edition of 580 Sports Talk. Let's put a wrap on this edition of 580 Sports Talk with the final word. Spencer Dupuy, what you got?
Yeah, ever since I heard about it, I really liked the Elam ending, and I think in certain situations the Elam ending works, but I was brought this point today by former host of 580 Sports Talk, Jake LeBon, who was in the building today, and he said he doesn't like it because it takes away those pressure situations when games are within 1 to 4 points and you're at the free throw line. And I never thought about that. So shout out to Jake for giving me another perspective on this.
You still have them. They're just not as manufactured. They happen more in the flow of play than, okay, I'm going to go foul you.
Yeah.
Like I'm the intentional fouling to string out the game is that's how I would have responded. I didn't realize Jake had run by today. I didn't see him. Final word for me today, Salvador Perez, 317 career home runs. I'm so glad he's hit them all as a Kansas City Royal. I'm so glad he got to hit the home run that tied George Brett atop the all-time Royals home run list in front of the home fans, in front of his family. A really cool moment for a really great player and something to celebrate in what has been a bummer of a Royals season. We're back tomorrow from 3 until 5. We'll be off early for Royals tomorrow as well. Until then, for Spencer, I'm Dan. This is 580 Sports Talk. Good night.